35,000 decisions and choices that we make every day. From 27 to 35,000 actually. That's what research says. And so I'm here to talk about the power of choice. This goes to the very core of who we are, what we believe, and has the capacity to define the life that we have. I'm not talking about the decisions that we make on an everyday basis. Before coming here, I had to decide how I wanted to do my hair. It changed like 50 times, and it isn't what I wanted at the beginning. But that's not the type of decisions that we're going to be talking about. I'm talking about those decisions that are life-altering, the ones that today do not seem so obvious, but that give tomorrow a whole new meaning. The ones that we make for our careers, for our relationships, for the other ones that tell us about our role in society. Our choices are made based on our life experiences, our past history, but also the privileges that we may or may not have in life. Choices sum up who we are. And let me ask you, in a world that tells you that you can be anything, who do you choose to be? Making choices is really about reclaiming our space. So how do you stand up for yourself? When I was 16, my mother's uncle came to my house and told my mother that he had found a husband for me. Amazing. 16, a husband. The person was an upcoming businessman, so my future was assured. You know, I would have everything that I wanted, and he would make a good match for me. And if my mother so wanted, right? If my mother so wanted, I could get married straight after my A-levels. Amazing. And although it was not my choice, my decision at that time, I would not be speaking here today if that uncle had had his way. What I gathered from this experience quite early on was how much power others can have over your life. But what did I know of life back then that could give me other options to choose from? It took me many years, and still, I think, to some extent, to understand how my own life goals were largely dependent on the goals of others. Those of my parents, my broader family, my teachers, my colleagues, societies. I was making choices and decisions based on what people around me expected me to do, and back then, that was the only thing I knew I could do, which is to live up to the expectations of those who cared about me. And I just went with the flow. There comes a time, though, when the music slows down. Sometimes it stops, when all the other voices are drowned out, and you hear your very own. Mine happened in the very darkest moment of my life, when everybody was screaming at me, you need to do this, you need to do that, get it on, move on, whatever they were telling me to do. But I heard myself saying, you have to choose you. And my first radical act of choosing was choosing me. And in so doing, I chose to be empowered rather than letting the circumstances define me. So I embraced feminism. When you're a feminist, people will always have something to say. Some will agree with you. Many more will not agree with you. And I see a number of young women, and generally women here, and I'm sure you're not unfamiliar with people telling you that you're being too loud, you're being disruptive. But the men that are around here, they don't get the same thing. They're like, oh, you're amazing, assertive in your ideas. So feminism gives me something to believe in. It is something that is bigger than me. It gives me the courage to ask others to do better for the girls, the women that I knew, that I know, and that I will know. We need to be confident in ourselves at the deepest level and stand by our choices. And the only way to be able to do that is by sticking to our values. I love what I do as a job and if you wonder, so I work for a UN agency, and it gives me a lot of purpose, and I really enjoy dedicating my time to it. My generation of empowered women are supposed to be superwomen. Talking about my generation, younger generations have more choices. So my generation of women are supposed to be superwomen, that we were supposed to have great careers, be great moms, have great hair, great bodies, and always with a smile. But why is it today that many women still feel guilty about not being there enough for their children or outshining their husbands? Whose expectations are we living up to? In 2024, shouldn't it be normal that a man wants to be a stay-at-home dad, or that a woman can make more money than her partner? I am often judged when I say that my partner is the more nurturing parent of the two of us. In choosing to be different in our parenting ways, nobody has taught us, my husband and I, to be a parent. It is something that we have learned along the way and that we had discussed lengthily together. Having children, though, or not, is a choice. Should you decide to have children, remember that for some of us, it takes two. Oh, well, it always takes two, sorry, it always takes two. My math is not working, it always takes two. But parenting is not always two people. So taking care of them is not always two people. But that, again, is another discussion. So my grandmother, to come back to what I was saying, my grandmother is one of the toughest women that I know. And probably she was very feminist in her own ways back then. She raised 7 children. She kept her husband's shop organized, running, had the meals on time every day for 9 person, that would be, yeah, 9 person, ironed, clean, and that is a lot of cleaning and ironing to do. And today, when I visit her, she would look at me with mild disapproval and say, Priscilla, your husband, why is he doing everything? I'm like, okay, he must be tired. I mean, like, really? He's like running after the children. It's like, yeah. So you see, in parenting, my partner and I chose to do things differently because we have learned from our own singular experiences as children, but also as adults. And we have built on our values and decided to bring up our children with empathy and kindness. It's not always an easy job, but we do it to the best of our capabilities. Every day, we learn to let go of those traditional stereotypes of caregiver and money provider. Conversations like these spark a lot of debate, not just between us two, but in the broader family circle, right? Especially when these norms have not been challenged. But we stand by our choices to be different and to do things differently, and that feels right for the both of us. Now, we as humans are constantly in search of meaning. We have a yearning to belong. And to belong, we try to fit in boxes, to tick the box of society's expectations and norms. Our identities are bound to how society defines us. Men, women, Chinese, white, black, heterosexual, homosexual, married, single, divorced. Yet, we are all so much more than just a binary definition. Today, we have different gender identities, different sexual identities. We have gone so far in acknowledging diversity and working towards inclusion in our society that we don't have to fit each other boxes anymore. And we should, more often than not, test the limits of our own boxes. The act of making choices is also about knowing where to draw the line. Nobody teaches you that you can say no, because when you make a choice, it's always a yes to something. But you can also say no to peer pressure, No to that boyfriend or the girlfriend that wants to engage in a sexual relationship with you when you don't want to. No to putting yourself second. No to living up to other people's expectations. So whose life do you want to live? This also, I think this is, oh, sorry. This also entails you understanding and assuming the consequences of your decision. Choices come with a set of opportunities and challenges. Do you feel ready to stand by yours? Systems, social norms, and expectations do not always want us to move forward because it's comfortable for them, but it may not be for us. We can't necessarily change the system by ourselves, but we can choose to change the narrative. If this system is not working, how can we individually effect the change we want to see? Choose to speak up on your ideas, on your values, about your beliefs, on what you think can make tomorrow a better place for all of us. Whether it is women, and oftentimes we ask women to do this, to be the change, or young people. It's always on women and young people. Be the change, do what it takes. But it's on all of us to do this. Future generations, we need to be able to challenge the status quo. This is a journey of self-discovery. We need to step outside our comfort zone. We need to be honest, first with ourselves, and then extending this honesty to others. It is about finding and having the courage to stand by your choices, to lean into discomfort, and to appreciate that from this, something will come out for you, but you're actively making that choice. We're all guilty of maintaining habits that don't serve our interests, and letting go of these attachments take time. But they shouldn't keep you from reclaiming your power as you outgrow the different versions with an S of yourself again and again. Because our priorities change. Our values stay the same, but our priorities can change. And as our priorities change, you are allowed to make other decisions, to have a different choice, and to refuse to succumb to the external pressures. While societal expectations and predefined timelines that many of us have, I used to have one too. I had like a beautiful drawing of where I would be when I was 16, 20, 25, when I was going to get married, how many kids I would have. So these predefined timelines and societal expectations offer you a sense of structure, but true fulfillment really emerges when we embrace the power of choice and really forge our own unique paths. Making choices is not always such a straightforward act, but it should be an intentional one. And choosing to be you, with all your quirks, uncertainties, affirmations, ambitions, is in itself a powerful, revolutionary act. Thank you.